Hello, teachers. I told you last week that through the month of February, so over the next 5 weeks, we will try to talk about some activities that you can use to help the students kind of stay active and not get so weighed down with everything that's happening during the month of February. So today we're going to talk about a class teaching activity, but let me just give a couple cautions first. The first one, please don't have an activity just to have an activity. There's a lot of things that we can do that get the students moving, but we really want to have purpose behind it. If there's purpose behind the activity, the outcome will be amplified. And the second thing, I always make sure that I remind my students whenever we do an activity that they are not just trying to fulfill an assignment, but they're really trying to make a difference in the life of one of their fellow servants. We've all been in sacrament meetings where you can tell that the person giving the talk is just trying to fill their time slot rather than really make a difference in someone's life by what they're teaching. And that's what we want our students to understand. And if we can keep them focused that way, they are very, very good at trying to make sure that they have the spirit and trying to make a difference in someone else's life. So, quote from Melder Scott that he gave a few years ago when he was talking to Seminary and Institute students. He just said, assure that there is abundant participation, and here's the goal for participation. He says, because that use of agency by a student authorizes the Holy Ghost to instruct. As students verbalize truths, they are confirmed in their souls and strengthen their personal testimonies. And whenever you have a youth that's bearing testimony, not only are they going to bless the lives of the people around them, but a lot of times they're going to gain a testimony of something that they didn't even realize that they knew before. So if I was going to teach 2 Nephi chapter 4, I wouldn't necessarily want them to teach the entire chapter, so I might summarize or briefly teach verses 1 through 14. And then I'd want my students to teach 15 through 35. That's the Psalm of Nephi portion of 2 Nephi chapter 4. And I'd split them up into four groups. Now, if you have smaller classes, maybe you just split them up into two. But if I've got a big enough class, I would have group 1 cover verses 15 to 19, group 2 verses 20 to 25. And you'll notice these aren't very large sections of the scriptures, and that's on purpose. Group 3 verses 26 through 30, and group 4 verses 31 to 35. Now, if I only had enough students for two groups, maybe I would have group 1 take 15 through 25 and group 2 26 through 35, and everything else works exactly the same. You're going to have to adjust this depending on your individual class. Just make sure that the groups are split evenly, both in number. If possible, we want the exact same number in every group, but that's not always going to be the case. But also by ability. You don't want your strongest students all in one group and the students that struggle the most all in one group. You can do it randomly. If you trust your students, just do it randomly, or you can set it up yourself. This all is going to depend on your class. Just make sure that they understand that they are going to prepare together with the group that they're assigned to, but that when they teach it, they're going to be teaching it on their own to another small group. Now, if you want to do this at the beginning, maybe you have the whole group teach together to the entire class. That's up to you. But I found it's most effective when each individual student is teaching a smaller group, because then they all get a chance to teach and to testify on their own. But give them very specific instructions on what they're looking for. As they get better at this, if you do this activity multiple times, you can give them less instruction, because once they start knowing what it is they're looking for, they get very good at doing it on their own. But with this, I might start with number 1, what is Nephi feeling in your verses? Number 2, what does Nephi obviously understand about Christ from your verses? Number 3, give at least 3 phrases that should be marked from your verses, and tell them that they're going to make sure that the other students who didn't get their verses, they will mark according to what their group comes up with that needs to be marked. Number 4, how can your verses be applied to the youth of the church today? And number 5, what principle can you testify is true from your verses? And then just give them time to prepare, but remind them often during their preparation that they are going to be teaching this individually. So they may want to pull out their journal, write some things down so that they will remember them when they're teaching in their smaller groups. When they're ready, then you just have each group number themselves off so that they can create new groups. So for example, if I had 5 students in each of my groups, they would just number from 1 to 5. Then they're going to gather together in their new groups, so that when they're done, they should have a group of 4, one person from each group. That way, they're teaching people that did not study their verses, and every group will be represented. Now, if you have some people that had to double up, that's okay. You'll have to adjust. But the goal is if we can get them all to where everyone's teaching on their own, that's the best case scenario. I found that it's easier once you have them start teaching. I will usually just say, okay, those who came from original group one, go ahead and take a couple minutes to teach, and please don't move on to the second person until I tell you, because we want to try to stay together. The only reason I do that is I found that some groups work very, very quickly, and it's easier to have small periods of time where they're not engaged and then move on to have them engaged again than to have one group go very quickly, and then we've got long periods of time at the end where you get an entire group that's not engaged, and it makes it difficult for everyone to stay focused. Then when you're done, make sure you have a couple minutes to just open it up at the end for things that the students liked, things that they learned, things that they marked. And you may want to consider, if someone shares something significant, just asking them, who taught that to you? What student shared that with you that made it so significant? Just so they have a chance to show gratitude to each other. And I've seen students' eyes light up, especially ones that don't think that they have much to offer, that realize they just made a difference in someone's life by something they shared or something they testified of. But this is just a quick example, and you can adjust this to however it fits your class. But something that makes a difference for the students, it helps them not only be engaged and be actively involved with the lesson, but it allows them to testify to students and to have other students testify to them. And it just makes a huge difference in their lives and in their testimonies.